A lot of rumors have been swirling around about Najee Harris and an eye injury, 4th of July firework mishap. A lot of people saying he lost one of his lenses. But according to reports, it's just coming out right now. Overblown. Maybe trolls at work. This report coming out from Schefter and a whole bunch of people that are talking about it now. That Najee Harris was present at a 4th of July event where a firework mishap resulted in injuries to several attendees. Najee sustained superficial, which means just surface level, nothing crazy. Superficial eye injury during the incident, but is fully expected to be ready for the upcoming 2025 NFL season. So nothing here. I know a lot of people were wondering what this impact would be if this guy had an eye patch and was playing with one eye walking into 2025. Hampton to the moon. People were going crazy on Twitter. And, it's good news that Najee's okay. No one's wishing injury upon anybody. At least people shouldn't be. This is crazy that people were even, getting the Hampton jerseys shined off and ready to go. People were wearing them like crazy on Twitter, just getting ready for the Hampton train. Look, everything seems to be fine on the Najee front. We'll cover this real quick. We'll be back for the 8 p.m. show, but let's discuss this for a brief moment. But this does give us time to discuss this running back by committee in LAC and how much I love Hampton. Now, people are weird. People are very weird. They sometimes look at this kind of stuff like a deflated balloon. Like, oh, Hampton's getting an increased amount of touches. Hampton to the oh, wait, Najee's okay. All right. And it's a deflated balloon effect. Maybe there's a buying opportunity. Either way, we're here for the Hampton train. Hampton train in full motion by midseason. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
It's crazy how many people were just immediately on their Hampton horse. There was no bedside manner. There was no hey, prayers. Some people were saying prayers up for Najee. They just started saying, okay, get the eye patch out. Halloween season, everybody was going crazy on the Najee Harris pirate emoji front. But he reportedly is fine. It's superficial injuries to the eye. Now, this was a lot of people thought this could be a trolling type of situation because it was so wildly spreading, fast spreading. It was almost like one of those the social media pranks where someone says somebody's gone, they've left this earth, and the person's living and they're fine. And it's just like, why are people spreading these rumors? But nobody was shooting down the rumors either. So they were getting rampant. They were increasing in frequency. The exaggerations of what had happened. He's wearing an eye patch for the rest of his life. Now his vision is even worse. Or some would say Najee's vision on the field might improve with just the one eye. But his eyes are fine. Superficial firework injury. People should stay away from these things anyway. You're lighting off things that it's gonna end badly. Stay away. Stay on the field. Play Madden. Stay in the gym. What are you doing anyway? But we do have to discuss the deflated balloon effect because people thought maybe Hampton was getting pushed right to the forefront, and now I gotta wait on Hampton. Look, this is a committee. There's no doubt about it, but Hampton is by far the better talent in this running back room. This is only a matter of time before Hampton is running this show. And I don't think it's going to happen in week 1, though, especially if both eyes are working properly. He doesn't need to roll out the patch. He's good to go. And I think that it's going to be a situation where they brought him in to be kind of a goal line guy. Hampton and him could rotate in that role just to kind of see which one has a better feel. But his experience, his ability to stay on the field, his ability to withstand firework mishaps, never miss a game. This guy's never missed a game. He ain't going to miss a game over some eye injury. But that doesn't mean he's a better talent, because Hampton is by far and away the better talent. At some point, Hampton's going to take over. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, what kind of pressure are you putting on your team if you're drafting Hampton too early? If you're drafting Hampton to be the guy now, if you're drafting Hampton to have 100 yards and a touchdown every game, if you're reaching in round 3, you're not doing it right. You need to package in the risk of this thing drags out a little bit. You got to package in the idea and concept that this man might be taking half the work for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. It could be 2 months of football. It could be 8 weeks of football. It could be 6 weeks. It could be 4 weeks. Maybe he suffers his first injury. Hard to say, but what I will tell you with near 100% certainty, not 100%, but near 100% certainty, is that at some point this man will be on the field looking marvelous, outperforming Najee per touch. And at some point, the button's going to be pushed where this head coach and the staff says, let's shift most of it over to Hampton. They'll still share carries, because no rookie should be running 350 times a season plus. 300 maybe, I mean, that's a lot. But even if it's 280, 275, you ease Hampton in, he gets about 280 to 300 on the year. That's a lot of carries for a rookie running back. So this guy's going to have to handle a lot of work no matter what. Now, it might be front loaded where Najee gets more work in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hampton gets eased in, and then Hampton's a monster from week 7 on. And they kind of have not similar carries, but more close than people would have wanted in hindsight. Hampton's going to be one of those stories we talk about in the offseason where it's like, if you take his last 8 games and extrapolate them over a 17-game season, you'd have running back 5, running back 6. That's the story we're going to be telling about Hampton at the end of the year, walking into 2026, meaning there might not be a he finished as running back 6 or 7. He might finish extrapolating and having numbers that would equate to that had he been used similar to Gibbs. If you took Gibbs, his week 7 on his rookie year, he'd be running back 1 or 2, just like he was in 2024, just like Gibbs was last year.
Let him cook.
Gibbs's workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6. So, at the end of the day, the HHH and Associates and the Junior
in a jam. Call HHH and Associates.
Triple H and Associates. Locations on Earth and Jupiter.
Triple H and Associates and the Junior Associate right here in Mr. Hampton, who's trying to get into this mix. He's kind of slowly creeping up to become a Junior Associate. This guy is going to take control at some point. I really believe that we'll have that story to tell. It just might be a story of extrapolation. It just might be a story of, hey, if we stretch out his final 7, 8, 9, 10 games, could be 10. He's running back, blah, blah, blah. And that's the kind of season you need to account for, to prepare for, package that into your thinking, into your cost of entry, so that your ROI makes sense. So you're not drafting him at the top of 3 because you think at some point he'll play that way, but you got to prepare for it properly. Super chat has come in from Overcome, and then the phone lines will be open real briefly. Buddy offered me Hampton for Amon-Ra. At first, I'm like, hell no, but do I accept Amon-Ra to keep smashing Jameson emergence, aging Goff, and better Lions defense. Honestly, bro, I don't know that you can really say that either side is going to, lambaste the other. I don't think you're gonna have a split decision amongst the chat if we're talking dynasty. St. Brown isn't a spring chicken. He's also not an old man. He's somewhere in between. And there is a world where Hampton has even a little bit longer shelf life because he's a running back. His shelf life is a 6 to 7 year window, probably, or 5 to 7.5. And Amon-Ra has played a number of years already. And there's a world where they're about the same in terms of shelf life. And there's a world where Hampton might outplay him at an elite level for a little bit longer. Now, if this is a younger wide receiver like London, I'd say no. But Amon-Ra, Ziggy, how old is Amon-Ra St. Brown? Ziggy, volume 10. Ziggy, how old is Amon-Ra St. Brown?
From penlive.com. Monroe Marnie Brown died Friday at 40.
No, Ziggy off. Ziggy off. Ziggy off. Ziggy off. Good Lord. He's so bad. He is so bad. I mean, he is really, really, Ziggy is awful. He is 25 turning 26 this season. Not an old man, not a spring chicken either. God, Ziggy's awful. Ziggy is he's just so bad. He's just so bad. He doesn't know what he's doing. He really doesn't. We shouldn't ask him questions anymore, honestly, at all. Ziggy, get out of here. So, not an old man, not a spring chicken, definitely in between, definitely a player that, we like a lot in St. Brown, but he will be 26. And, in Dynasty, you're thinking about things in terms of, okay, 26, so he plays 26, 27, 28, that's 3 years. And when did Cooper Kupp fall off at 28 years? Like, it happens. So I'm not saying he can't go to 30, so 5 years. And then Hampton's going to give you probably 6, maybe 7. So I would say I like Hampton about as much, and it come down to position of need. Can I get a vote in the chat? Would you rather have Hampton in a dynasty startup or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Now, the question is going to be this. How does your team look if you make this move? Because you're going to draft St. Brown over Hampton, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if push came to shove and I had Hampton and somebody after the draft came and said, I'll give you St. Brown, who I drafted earlier, that I'm just going to say, okay. I might be like, look, at cost of entry, trying to play chess during the draft, trying to grab the right guy at the right time so I can get the Hampton later. I understand that. But after the draft is concluded, I'm not just going to swap you St. Brown and Hampton and give you the young running back because the ADP said so. So, love to know what you guys think. I got a Amon-Ra. Give me St. Brown across the board. So the chat is saying this, and I kind of agree with them because of the fair market value. And honestly, asking the chat, and the chat being consensus Amon-Ra St. Brown pretty much, that means that the fair market value commands that you get more. So if your buddy's asking for St. Brown, you tell him, give me a first rounder. If he says, get out of here, say, I'll give you a second. We'll swap. I'll move your first rounder down to the second. I don't need a first rounder. I just need to move my second into the first and your first into the second. Do a first and second round swap. Overcome. That's the consensus, bro. And the important part about asking the audience, bro, is not necessarily to get the decision to be made by the audience, but to get the barometer of the trade value. And the barometer of the trade value says St. Brown, St. Brown, St. Brown, St. Brown. Get a draft pick. St. Brown, St. Brown, St. Brown. I mean, I don't see one person requesting Hampton, but here's the thing. I'd rather have Hampton. But the barometer that we just executed upon The testing of the temperature tells us we can get more, young man. So I approve the thinking, but you need to get more for me to Smitty approve it.
You've just been Smitty approved.
So you've been Smitty approved if you get more based on the fair market value. Thank you for the super chat, Overcome. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Very similar trade, like as in, going and getting Travis Hunter over Amon-Ra. Like I would do that because I can and get a lot more. I think it's a good move. Same concept. Go get Travis Hunter and more value, much more value. And you're talking about a quarterback like a Caleb Williams upgraded into, Bo Nix, or Caleb Williams upgraded into Mahomes, or something like that, or a quarterback like that upgraded into Mahomes or Bo Nix, a massive quarterback upgrade, and then you get some sort of wide receiver swap where, honestly, I'm quietly more intrigued by Travis Hunter's long-term value, and that's just me. But I know I can get away with highway robbery if I believe that. I'm not telling anybody. I want Travis Hunter quietly more. I'm using fair market value, and I'm smashing the trade. So Amon-Ra still commands enough to get this done. But it's tough because in Dynasty, once you own those players, it's a different mindset than when you're drafting. And the owner is inquiring about your St. Brown, but doesn't mean that they're willing to just ship off Hampton that cheaply. But again, this is what I'm trying to tell you. It may seem silly, the deflated balloon effect, but the deflated balloon effect of the Hampton owners minutes ago, hours ago, days ago, because this conspiracy about Najee's eye injury has been overblown for a couple days now. And it seemed like trolling, so much so we haven't even really addressed it on the show because it seemed fabricated. It didn't even seem worth the conversation. But his camp hasn't been shooting it down. So it's been kind of growing and escalating, the concern. And so, we've been starting to pose the question of how much of this is real. Doesn't seem like it's going to be completely real. People are running with it. Twitter's going crazy. And it did get fabricated to a degree. It was exaggerated to a major degree. And Najee's okay now. It's superficial face injury, not he lost his eye like a lot of people were saying. Eye patches. Everyone was doing all kinds of memes out there, but they're trying to make it look serious. And the deflated balloon effect is going to make the owners that thought he had tons of value all of a sudden, because Najee was now down an eye and it was going to be bad. I know this sounds like a crazy story. The guy, like, saying it out loud is making me kind of like laugh because how wild this story was going, the direction it was going. But the deflated balloon effect is going to have people kind of go, I thought I was going to get something a little different right now, even though I love him, even though I believe in him. No one's not going to not believe in Hampton because his eye's okay. But the deflated balloon effect causes people to do weird things. Like, why is this guy trying to trade Hampton for Amon-Ra St. Brown right now? Like, why is this guy reaching out to Overcome in the super chat right now? Why is this trade conversation happening right now? The deflated balloon effect. The balloon's been deflated a little bit for Hampton, and now it's like, I kind of, I thought I was going to get everything I wanted out of Hampton. Now I got to wait. It's a reminder that you're maybe waiting a little longer than you think. That's kind of what it comes down to. Dial in real quickly. We'll be back at 8 p.m. So very, very soon. Actually, we're just going to end the show. I'll be back in about an hour. Might be an hour and 5-10 minutes. We'll see you all later. Appreciate my super chat Overcome. Appreciate all you. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern.